Hi, everybody. This is Mike Cornell with Boston Making a Difference. I'm here tonight talking with Dan Blanchard, who's a noted coach, teacher, father of five, and also owner of a new puppy. And he's got his plate full. And he's coming out to see us in Boston. Actually, it's in Braintree, but in the Boston area on March 13th. Dan's got a great message for families, teachers, coaches, people who are struggling with dealing with young men. The proceeds for this event are going to, 50% of them are going to go to Teen Challenge. So it's a great cause that we're going to help here. And Dan's been on a mission now for a number of years to help people that are dealing with young men, help them to become good men. So I'm going to introduce you here to Dan Blanchard. Dan, welcome to Boston Making a Difference.
Hey, Mike, how are you? I'm so happy to be on your show, and I always love being around people that are making a difference. So your group sounds awesome. I can't wait to get there. And as you've said, I've been on a mission, to make a difference for young men. I was at one time one of those young men, and even one of those young boys that didn't have really male role models, positive male influence in my life. My dad wasn't able to do it. My older brother wasn't able to do it. They had a lot of challenges of their own. So they weren't able to really help me and be that role model for me. So just somehow I just had that burning desire in me, like, to kind of find my own way, be the kind of man that my brother and my father couldn't be, and I just had that desire, that same desire that helped me become a two-time junior Olympian wrestler. I had that same desire. It gave me 14 years of college and 7 degrees. That same desire to become that good man that my kids could look up to, my athletes could look up to, my students could look up to, Mike. So that was who I wanted to become. And I wanted to become that really, really bad, Mike. And when I was going through this journey, of all those years of college, coaching all those sports, wrestling, football, just to name a couple, doing what I was doing in the classroom, I couldn't help but notice that it wasn't just my older brother and my father, Mike, that was falling down on the job as good men, men that are supposed to be leading the way for the next generation of men, but it was men everywhere. They were dropping the ball and falling down on the job, Mike, and I saw the way, what it was doing to my students, my athletes, and I just thought it was so unfair what that next generation of young boys was going through, reminding me of what I had to go through. And I knew, Mike, that not all of them were going to be able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, pick their head up, stick to their nose to the grind, and do what I did to become that good man. I knew that they were going to need hope, but where the heck were they going to find that help? You know what I'm saying? They probably weren't going to find it in their homes, probably weren't going to find it in their neighborhoods, maybe not even in their schools, depending if they were, what kind of school they were at or what kind of classmates they had, depending on what class they were in. You know what I'm saying? So somehow it just became my burning mission, Mike, to be that man, be that role model, be somebody that the young men could look up to, and I could influence their lives in a positive way and just get them to hold on. When they're at the end of their rope, tie that knot and hold on for another day.
All right, I'm ready to do push-ups right now. You've got me psyched. I'm ready to get down and give you 20.
That's funny you mentioned that, Mike, because I was the Army push-up champ for 6 years. I never lost. You know what I'm saying? And I was the Air Force push-up champ after that. So, I've always been that man. And maybe it's because I came from such a rough and tough and maybe crappy place that I get these kids. You know what I'm saying? I get these kids, and I even get these adults that are struggling. They have their hands full. They may be working 2 jobs, 3 jobs just to try to put food on the table. And then their boys, overflowing with that testosterone, are giving them a heck of a run for their money. I know it's hard. It's very hard.
Tell me about your books. Tell me about the Storm and the Helping Young Men book that's coming out.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, for about 10 years, my students told me that I was the most inspirational teacher they ever had and that I should write a book. I was polite to them, and I said, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to write a book. But after about 10 years of them saying that, I figured they must be seeing something that I'm not seeing, Mike. So I put my faith in them the way I always ask them to put their faith in me. And I wrote that book, that first book, The Storm of How Young Men Become Good Men. And that book, people started seeing that book and reading that book. And I started getting one fabulous endorsement after another, after another, after another. Even Sean Covey, the son of the late, great Stephen Covey, Sean Covey, the teen leadership expert. He read that book, loved it, gave me an endorsement. I got Olympic bronze winning athletes, generals, you name it. Football Super Bowl champions, you name it.
That's us. We're the Super Bowl champs here in Boston.
Yeah, and by the way, that Super Bowl champion was a New England Patriot guy. All right, so go figure, right? Go figure.
That's awesome. So
when I wrote that book, and that book went so well, and then I saw there was such a need for it, I wrote the sequel, which is called A Sprint to the Top, How to Win the Game of Life. Same sort of thing, same sort of domino effect started to happen. One person after another started reading it, getting huge endorsements. Ended up even getting an endorsement from the athlete of the century, Dan Gable, the greatest college wrestler, Olympic wrestler, college wrestling coach out of Iowa ever. He read the book, loved it, gave an endorsement for the book. And then from there, it was very simple to start venturing out to writing, leadership books, leadership speeches, articles. Then I got into the academia world, started writing academia books, evaluating professional development. And now this latest one that should be out in a week or two called How to Become More Successful with Difficult Students. The American Federation of Teachers, Mike, hired me to go on a speaking tour on that very subject, how to become more successful with difficult students. So I've been all around speaking on that topic. And when I was giving my speeches, people were constantly coming up to me saying how much they loved it, how they wanted me to come to their schools, and they wanted to buy my book on that. And I was like, dang, I don't have a book on that yet. I probably should. And I got to remind you, my full-time job is teaching. I've been a teacher, coach, athletic coach, life coach. So when the heck was I going to find time? I write a dozen columns, great blogs. When the heck was I going to find time? But I knew it was very, very important to write that book on how to become more successful with difficult students. So I wrote that book.
My dad was a teacher in the Boston school system for 30 plus years. And he used to talk all about the difficult students that he dealt with. I bet he would have loved to have that book, to help him in his daily chores as teacher and then principal. And
yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've got a former principal that wants to go actually on a tour with me to talk about. She read the book, loved the book, gave me a lot of suggestions on the book, being a former principal herself. And she's even trying to set up an additional speaking tour that me and her would go on together, me as a teacher and her as a former principal. So the book, there's such a huge need for that book. And I got to tell you, Mike, the students have gotten more difficult over the years.
I believe it.
So the need has gotten bigger and bigger.
Now they text each other from their phones during class, do it right in their pockets. They're so good at it.
Oh, they're very, very good at it. And then I ended up writing a book too on success and social skills secrets for kids. So I've got a little book on that out as well, because the kids, they're lacking their social skills today. They don't have that social emotional intelligence, and it's scary because now they do stupid things like bring a gun to school, what I'm saying? Or cyberbully each other. They do some things that they don't need to do. If they just had some more skills and some more knowledge, they wouldn't need to go there. But unfortunately, a lot of our kids don't have those skills and knowledge. And a lot of our educators, they grew up in a time where it wasn't needed either. As kids were always difficult, but in the old days, you just give them the look, and then that would usually be enough.
My days, the teacher used to give you the knuckle sandwich right on the head.
Yeah.
He'd give you a poke on the top of your head. You wouldn't make another peep during the class.
No, you wouldn't. But you do that today, and you're going to be down in the principal's office with a possible lawsuit coming. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Back then, you didn't tell your parents because you get in more trouble if you told them the teacher whacked you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, times are very, very different. these are probably some of the, that it's never been easy being a teacher, but these are probably some of the most difficult times there has been to be a teacher, to be a coach, to be a parent, anybody dealing with our youth, pastors, police officers, and the list goes on and on and on. Youth.
So tell me, now that you're talking about that, tell me what our group there, Boston Making a Difference, what is Dan Blanchard going to bring for them on March 13th?
I'll tell you, when people come out and see me, Mike, the Boston people there that want to make a difference, they're going to leave there really having some skills, some knowledge, some inspiration, motivation, and to make that difference, and not just make that difference in a small way, to make an impactful difference, because I know that that's what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And kudos to them for coming out on every time that they come out for those events, and kudos to them for coming out to my event. It's going to so be worth it. They're going to leave there with the ability to make a difference and influence the next generation, who will be able to influence the next generation, and so on and so on and so on. So your people, Mike, they have an opportunity to make a legacy up for themselves if they come out on that night, which I know they will, because I know they want to do that, because I know that they see what I see, and they know how important it is now, more important than ever, that us adults step up bigger and better than we've ever done before, because we have to. We have to step up bigger and better than we've ever done before. So come on out, folks. I can't wait to see you there. And you're going to have my contact information. You're going to have me available to you to make a difference, to help you make a difference in the lives of whatever youth that you're working with or living with, or hopefully trying to have some impact with.
Dan, thank you so much. I can't wait myself. I have a young man. He's 23, but he's got some issues.
Yeah.
Some questions for you.
No
And
doubt.
I know many people, are struggling with, kids with drug addictions. Opioid crisis is terrible up this way.
Yep.
There's a lot of, kids that get in trouble with the law.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many different things between alcohol and drugs and things that
Mhm.
kids struggle with. And then the social struggles, with the social media and the cyberbullying and all that kind of stuff. The kids have a lot of things to deal with today.
Yeah. So many places it can go wrong. So that's why they need guys like me and you, Mike, to help them get it right more often than wrong.
Great. Well, Dan, I appreciate you taking a few minutes tonight. Go back to your family, 5 kids, and a new puppy. The puppy needs some attention too.
No doubt. Thanks, Mike. Great spending some time with you tonight. Looking forward to seeing your people next month.
Thanks, Dan.